And from an end use point of view, 65% of the business is towards building material segment, and around 30 odd percent is agriculture, and 5% would be infrastructure and underground drainage, which we've been able to grow in the way we have. And that is because in semi-urban and rural India, the affordable housing program has really taken place aggressively. And I do believe that there is further room to grow in that segment as well.
Maybe like a higher tonnage machines with the multi-cavity molds. So any sudden surge in the demand can also be well catered within the limited time. Of course, the option of contract manufacturing or outsourcing is also available. Contract manufacturing. And based on the right time, we may look at acquisition or a greenfield expansion in the East in the coming times. The recent move by BIS is very, very encouraging and surely benefit the entire value chain.
Now, if you look at the end user, they are absolutely tired of using those cement pipes because of the high labor cost, the maintenance cost, the laying cost. And life cycle. Today, the DWC pipes, we are confident will survive for 50 years, whereas the RCC pipes at best can survive for 8 to 10 years. So, and I would put my hand up and say that as a leader of this industry, companies like ourselves need to do a better job of getting these technologies to India, and then ensuring that the adoption cycle happens. Now, this is something which is easier said than done. Sure. So I think firstly, the biggest development that has happened in the CPVC industry has been, the anti-dumping duty, which has been put on, two of the nations. 85% of our waste is through open gutter channels. Today, developed economies are talking about, how they treat their waste. For us, waste treatment is a faraway chapter too. We actually have to start with piping our waste. 85% of which is not piped.
Is especially the government orders, because PE 300 meters, one pipe. In PVC, it is 6 meters, it has to be rejointed. And then again, the BIS mandation of putting sand cushioning, that is another problem. What is your view on this?
So I think one needs to study the balance between huge potential but low margin. So if you're able to strike that balance, I think it's a product worth studying and worth exploring at least. And we are in the process of doing it.
Who had got the government tenders, right? They just stopped. They stopped laying the pipes. They said it doesn't, humko parvarta hi nahi hai. We cannot even go ahead with this until the prices come less than 80. Do you think, what is your view on that?
So this uncertainty actually has given an opportunity for, innovative thinking.
Good afternoon, my dear industry fellows. If you have still not subscribed to my channel, please do click the subscribe button for getting the fresh industry updates that you get through my interviews. It's just a completely non-commercial activity, and we have not taken a single penny for these entire sessions. Click on subscribe now. Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to the capsule 24 of series 3. Our guests for today are Shri Parag Chheda, Joint Managing Director, and Nihar Chheda, Vice President Strategy, Prince Pipes and Fittings, logging in from Amchi, rainy Mumbai. Headquartered in Mumbai, Prince Pipes and Fittings is one of the leading integrated pipe solutions, multi-polymer manufacturing company. They are currently the third largest PVC pipe manufacturers in India, with over 7,200 SKUs, 1,500 distributors, and 7 manufacturing units. Converting 4 types of polymers, CPVC, UPVC, HDPE, and PPR through leading brands, Prince Piping Systems and Truboe, with an installed capacity of 2.5 lakh metric tons per annum. I have the opportunity of knowing the family closely. A visionary, Parag ji, a key innovator in revolutionizing the Indian plastic industry. and he has been felicitated with the Inspiring Business Leader Award 16 at the Economic Times Summit. Nihar Chheda, the third generation, got very well trained during the IPO and is very actively strengthening the distribution network along with streamlining the raw materials procurement strategy. A very challenging task in today's time. Nihar has been awarded the Economic Times Polymers Next Generation Leader Award for the year. Paragji, Nihar, a very warm welcome to my show, Insights with Nidhi Verma, Series 3.
Yeah, thank you, Nidhi. Thank you so much for having me and my son, Nihar, for this very interesting interaction. So thank you so much, Nidhi.
Yeah, thank you, Nidhi, for having us.
Wonderful. Paragji, what was your inspiration to continue and expand the PVC pipes? Seeds were, of course, sown by your dear father, Shri Jayanti Bhai Chheda ji, whom I'm very fond of, the founder and our respected chairman. Highly spirited, visionary, and so very humble.
Yeah, Nidhi. So, I've always admired my father's great vision, who ventured into the field of PVC 4 decades ago. So UPVC, continues to be my passion as it enjoys, having the lion's share in the plastic piping industry. Obviously, because the material being very versatile and also cost effective. So the piping business is one of the most growing and promising industry within the building material space. And so our industry is, well poised to see a double-digit growth per annum. We are actually, witnessing a good shift from the unorganized to the organized sector, which shall, boost high growth rate for the national players like Prince Pipes. Last but not the least is the government's clear focus towards, improving the country's infrastructure and of course the rapid urbanization which is happening. This shall actually further enhance the overall demand for our PVC piping business.
Well put, Paragji. Nihar, how do you view the PVC pipe business that has, of course, come to you by lineage? And how do you see the future for this polymer?
Yeah, so definitely, I do see a very tremendous potential for further scalability in an exponential manner because of the few reasons that we just mentioned, be it consolidation, one from the unorganized to the organized, and then even within the organized, there is a consolidation taking place, and the big are getting bigger. So I think the piping business is going to be a big boys game. So the future prospects, are pretty optimistic from here on.
Are you evaluating diversification, Nihar?
Yes, I would answer this in two parts. One, diversification I think has to be within piping, where we look at exploring newer applications, newer polymers that we can integrate into our portfolio. Traditionally at Prince, range has been our biggest differentiator in the marketplace. To a distributor, if you go, Prince is a one-stop shop across agri, plumbing, SWR, borewell, industrial applications. So we want to build on that going forward. And secondly, I think diversification outside pipes also is something that we would evaluate at the right time. I do believe that diversification is the best strategy to de-risk the business. But even in diversification, depth is going to be more important than breadth. We don't want to get into too many new products. Take one product at a time and then build scale in that business the way we've been able to do within piping.
Perfect strategy. Nihar, how much percentage of your top line is the government sector and how much is it the projects, that is the infra, building, construction, etc.?
So Nidhi, typically, Prince has been a very retail-oriented brand, a very B2C nature of business, and government is less than 5% of our overall portfolio. So a large chunk is driven by distribution and retail. Private projects, which is the B2B space, is something that we are looking to scale up and is going to be the next frontier for growth as we continue to improve the B2C part. And from an end use point of view, 65% of the business is towards building material segment, and around 30 odd percent is agriculture, and 5% would be infrastructure and underground drainage.
Okay. I think there was a recent upgrade from the weather office that the higher farm output is expected because of 101% rainfall for the long term for the rest of the year. So that I think is going to be a good news for the agri part of the 35% that you mentioned. Nihar, the two schemes which are very aggressive by the government, that is the Har Ghar Jal Yojana and the Housing for All. How do you see the PVC pipe requirement consumption in these projects, timeline-wise?
Yeah, so I think both these projects, first let me talk about, the Nal Se Jal program, where, if I have to sum it up in one line, it's the government's mission to provide piped water access to every rural household in the country. So it's obviously very exciting for a pipe manufacturer like us, and the potential is huge. The good part is that this is not just policy on paper. We have actually seen green shoots of demand in the market in the December quarter and the March quarter as well, in a few pockets. I think the key here is going to be consistency in the investments made by the government. And if that actually takes place for the next few consecutive quarters, I think this could potentially be a game changer for the addressable market for the piping segment. And
sorry, it is only a way up, because I've been speaking to some other leaders also, and their input was that the government subsidies have not been coming in the last 1 year at all. So it is only going to be if they start flowing in, our demand will increase.
Absolutely. So this is not just subsidies, right? This is also investments made by the government into, investing into, giving piped water access to rural households. So we have seen green shoots of demand, and like I said, consistency is going to be key. And to answer the second part of your question on affordable housing, I think that has already been a driver for growth. If I look at the past 5 years for our industry, real estate has been pretty tepid. That's not a secret. Despite which, we've been able to grow in the way we have, and that is because in semi-urban and rural India, the affordable housing program has really taken place aggressively. And I do believe that there is further room to grow in that segment as well.
Agree. Parag ji, is the current PVC pipe industry geared up to meet the quantum as well as the technical edge that will be demanded by the market now?
Absolutely, Nidhi. The newer technologies in the field of manufacturing is making it possible to amplify the capacities in the relatively shorter time. Let me just say, with an example of maybe like a higher tonnage machines with the multi-cavity molds. So any, sudden surge in the demand can also be well catered within the limited time. Of course, the option of contract manufacturing or outsourcing is also available. Talking on your, the B part, which is the technical, edge demanded by the market. So, I'm so happy because, due to the increased awareness and faster acceptance by the government applicators, end users for the technologically advanced products, which are making inroads into the Indian markets. Now, this actually becomes, a very big motivational, factor for the big manufacturers, so that we are able to enter into the newer products like the double wall corrugated pipes, which is popularly known as the DWC. Also, if we can talk about the low noise drainage systems, or be it the cable ducting products. Of course, to mention that the relevant, technological tie-ups, be it the collaborations, they further ensure availability of the technologically superior products as demanded by the markets.
Paragji, I must say that your organization has been one of the leaders who kind of goes in and gets the best technology through your collaborations much ahead of time, so that, whatever is getting introduced in Europe or other parts of the world is also available to the Indian market.
That's right.
Absolutely. Paragji, you have 7 plants across India, north, west, and south. Are you also looking at East acquisition, expanding?
So yeah, I think this is one of the frequently asked questions within the entire fraternity or maybe within the industry. I have to say that East is one of the fastest growing zones, and we at Prince are also part of this growth story. So currently, the eastern markets are catered through our asset light model of contract manufacturing, and based on the right time, we may look at acquisition or a greenfield expansion in the east in the coming times.
I like the word, Paragji, asset light. I was travel light, now I'm going to be asset light also, whatever assets. Paragji, do you have plans to get into other pipes other than PVC? And what are the reasons, if yes?
I'm very glad to share that we are one of the very few companies amongst the top players to offer a variety of piping systems, be it the UPVC, CPVC, HDP, PPR. And I'm, very sure with the rising demand for the newer applications, we shall be exploring products beyond our existing product portfolio.
Okay. When it comes to PVC pipes, if you remember in all our vinyl programs, there always used to be a panel on the quality. Since BIS has mandated the license for all PVC pipes, do you feel this step of BIS will help in improving the awareness or the seriousness towards quality, Paragji?
Definitely a big yes. The recent move by BIS is very, very encouraging and surely benefit the entire value chain. So such initiatives, always help the organized players to perform better. I think we should not expect things to change overnight, but this is definitely a step in the right direction, and we shall strongly support for the same.
But actually, I was speaking to some other colleagues in the industry, and what their viewpoint is that the BIS is itself not ready to kind of roll out this because of the staff or because of the process time that they take, and also the kind of capex that the MSME kind of converters will have to put, the 20, 30, 50 tons of, a lot of them are there in our country, because it probably requires 6 to 7 lakhs of installments that they'll have to, capacity of equipment that they'll have to put. So it may take a long time to get those BIS certificates. The big players may be able to get them, but it may be difficult down the line.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, that we should not be expecting the an overnight change, but this is definitely a right move, and it's going to take a while. Because for the unorganized sector or the local players, for them, setting up um, say a quality lab or having the right compounding formulations, to have the well experienced qualified team or staff is going to take some time. So
Perfect. The concept of life cycle costs, it may sound theoretical, but it is important, because I'm not sure most of our converters really pay any focus on that. They are still looking at the initial costs. Nihar, this is for you. They do not consider the whole life cycle cost that PVC actually, it gains as far as other materials are concerned, whether metal replacement costs, pumping costs, metals corrode. How can we bring the awareness amongst our industry so that they start evaluating this when the purchase or the decisions are getting made?
Yeah, you use the right word in terms of creating awareness. And I think this is more of just a perception issue, where the perception and the reality is very different. So whenever there's a perception issue, what needs to be very important is communication and creating that awareness. And to give you an example, a new product that we launched, double wall corrugated pipes. Now these are plastic pipes with corrugation, and will replace the traditional RCC pipes used for underground drainage. Now, if you look at the end user, they are absolutely tired of using those cement pipes because of, the high labor cost, the maintenance cost, the laying cost, and, life cycle. Today, the DWC pipes, we are confident will survive for 50 years, whereas the RCC pipes at best can survive for 8 to 10 years. So I think what we are doing, at least at Prince, is whatever stakeholders in the value chain, be it our distributors, our sales team, end users, contractors, consultants. We are trying to aggressively pass on that communication in terms of traditional materials like GI or RCC versus PVC or DWC pipes, and then that information is included in our collaterals, and our product teams are trained to pass on that information at a very fast pace.
Long way to go, but yes, well begun. Nihar, we have seen a lag in introduction of the products of PVC in India. As I've learned from my vinyl programs, vinyl PVC pipes introduced in 1930, India it came 30 years later. Oriented pipes 1990, 212. Why do you think there is such a huge lag in Indian market accepting the latest PVC technologies?
Yeah, so I do agree that we have not been the fastest economy when it comes to the adoption curve for these products. And I would put my hand up and say that as a leader of this industry, companies like ourselves need to do a better job of getting these technologies to India, and then ensuring that the adoption cycle happens. Now, this is something which is easier said than done. But that's the challenge, right? If it was easy, everyone could do it. So it's up to the leader to be actually, doing that. We have done it to a certain extent when it's replacing GI with PVC, now replacing, RCC with DWC. There are a few conventional products that we're looking at and how we can replace them with high performance, piping solutions. And I'm sure from the House of Prince, in the next few quarters, you should expect a few products that will improve the end user's life. So we need to do it. The leader has to start.
We are very happy that you've raised your hand, Nihar, on that, and we are going to take you up on that, and we'll keep following and looking forward for further sessions where your new products can be showcased to the market. Nihar, do you see any development for CPVC pipes in our country further going from here?
Sure. So I think firstly, the biggest development that has happened in the CPVC industry has been, the anti-dumping duty, which has been put on, two of the nations. So what that has done is now CPVC, which started off as a as a niche product, then had started becoming commoditized, because of oversupply. And now after this duty, again, we're moving into that niche sort of zone where again it becomes a big boys game, and only organized players are going to dominate that market. And I think when that happens, now it's again up to us. If you look at globally, CPVC has multiple applications, not only hot and cold water plumbing like it is in India, but
Yes.
wastewater treatment, fire sprinkler systems, industrial application. And we need to leverage global partnerships and bring those products to India. And we will.
Such beautiful applications, I think, just waiting to be lapped by the market. We are going to wait for you to bring them in also. Nihar, yours is one of the few organizations in our plastic industry who have adopted extremely aggressive advertising strategies. Lovely to see all that. Possible to correlate quantum-wise benefits from advertising to growth and demand?
See, absolutely. So advertising is nothing but, again, perception building, right? It's the kind of experience the user has when he is buying your product or using your product. So it goes much beyond just the product. It goes beyond that entire process. So we have invested aggressively, around 2 to 3% of net sales. I think what is important here is the mindset of the promoters. What I find in India, typically advertising is seen as an expenditure.
Yeah.
We see it as an investment. And what I mean by that is, it's easy to invest in the brand when business is going well. But like any business, there are going to be good quarters, there are going to be bad quarters. We will invest in the brand even in the bad quarters, because any perception building can happen only in the long term. And to answer your question specifically, yes, we do see a tremendous change in the kind of growth trajectory that we've had ever since that we have invested in the brand. Of course, this cannot happen overnight. But there is a strong correlation between investments in branding and growth.
Thanks for sharing that. I think it's a good learning that do not stop investing, even though when you're having a bad quarter. That is the key, I guess. Paragji, you have been extremely successful in your IPO, which we did follow very closely. Very respected listed company. And if I can say Anil Kapoor style, what a growth, Paragji. You can probably become the cheerleader for R&D, which is too much required in our pipe industry in India. Do you have any plans for setting up R&D facilities in the real sense? I'm not talking about testing here.
Yeah, first of all, thanks, Nidhi. Thank you so much for your kind words and trust on me and our organization.
710. I checked the price. Parag ji, पहले बताते, मैं ही ले लेती. Conference नहीं हो रही, यही ले लेती, वही अच्छा हो जाता.
Yeah, so thank you so much. It actually really means a lot at Prince. So thank you. So we've always been conscious of the research and development, and even much before we got listed. We had a long-standing technical tie-up with Wavin, and even now we got into a technical collaboration with Tooling Hall and one of the world's best mold manufacturing, organization, be it for the product collaboration, with Lubrizol, world's #1 CPVC brand. So we have, we also have a complete separate vertical for the new product development, where the main focus is to, engage with the end users, understanding their needs and expectations, and subsequently do necessary research to develop these products. So our techno-commercial team, ensures good value creation at each stage, be it from the concept to the commercialization. And we are constantly upgrading our research and development facilities. And we are very, very sure to make it world-class very soon.
Paragji, now a little important question, which is also critical. Worldwide, PVC is recycled. Unfortunately, in our country, PVC is seen as non-recyclable material. What steps do you suggest in order to establish PVC as a recyclable material in our country? The BIS mandate is coming just around the corner, I think 30th September. How would you kind of advise our industry fellows to go forward on this?
Yeah, so I think this is, again, a perception issue. In India, anything recycled is often confused with low quality. But I think what is required is immense global benchmarking. If you look at developed economies in Europe, it's in fact mandatory to have a certain amount of recycling material in their finished product. So I think as an industry, we need to benchmark ourselves against the very top developed economies. I think it's too early for us to have compulsory recycling. But again, I think the entire industry is always going to be a reflection of the leader, and the leader needs to start by adopting, recycling. And I think it will happen.
I think it's time now, because in flexible packaging industry, they are far ahead in this curve for, setting up the targets and adhering to them. What is going to happen to all the pipes that are going to be recovered? Because right now we kind of mix it with the new pipes, as I understand, right? Uska kya hoga abhi aage?
Correct. So I think, I don't have a ready answer for that, but we need to see what the best practices are. One practice that I was looking at, a specific example in Europe, in Germany, they have triple layer pipes where the outside and inside layer is still virgin, but the middle layer has, a significant amount of recycled PVC. So I think such creative ways where you adopt recycled PVC without hampering the quality of the end product, need to strike that balance, and that's the way forward.
And how do you get into the corrugated pipes, also P water tanks, new divisions? What is the synergy with your base business?
So see, what we've done, Nidhi, is that we have identified, we've split our sales team into two. Now we have a traditional sales team and we have a new product development team. So now this NPD team of new product development has to have new products that they look at, and nurture that product for 2 years, and then give that product to the traditional sales team, and then you look at what's next. So the first two products that we've come into are, of course, the corrugated pipes for underground drainage. This is a product which is very close to our heart. And the reason I say that is if I look at as a country today, 85% of our waste is through open gutter channels. Today, developed economies are talking about how they treat their waste. For us, waste treatment is a faraway chapter two. We actually have to start with piping our waste, 85% of which is not piped. So I think with these corrugated pipes, we are providing the market with a product which is one, globally accepted, and second, makes the end user's life much easier compared to what cement pipes are doing right now, and also have superior quality and product life cycle, etc. So that was the rationale behind corrugated pipes. And for the polyethylene tanks, storage tanks, I think it's just a good synergy with our current product portfolio. We have such a robust channel of distributors across urban, semi-urban, rural India, across northwest, southeast India. So I think these same distributors, retailers, plumbers who are buying Prince pipes and fittings will now also buy Prince tanks. So I think that was a very low-hanging fruit for us, and I think ties in very well with our current product portfolio.
Wonderful. So we've got a wonderful brand that is Prince. उसमें कुछ भी लगा दो वो चल जाने वाला है because वो किसी के साथ add हो जाएगा. It is a wonderful strategy. Well done. Nihar, one more question for you is that PE is replacing PVC pipes, especially in the water supply segment. What I understood is that especially the government orders, because PE 300 meters one pipe. In PVC, it is 6 meters. It has to be rejointed. And then again, the BIS mandation of putting sand cushioning, that is another problem. What is your view on this? On replacement of PVC with PE?
Yeah, so I think, I've been studying this closely. What has also happened is there's been a tremendous volatility in PVC prices. And that sort of gap is between PE and PVC has seen a vast change than what it was few years ago. And amidst this volatility, I think PE has done really well in few pockets, especially where there is a strong government push in those tenders. So I think the opportunity again is huge. It's tremendous. From a processor's point of view, it's a very low margin product. So I think one needs to study the balance between huge potential but low margin. So if you're able to strike that balance, I think it's a product worth studying and worth exploring at least. And we are in the process of doing.
I think from 65 rupees Paragji to 135, right? It is more than even 100%. What I understood that even the contractors who had got the government tenders, right? They just stopped. They stopped laying the pipes. They said it doesn't humko parvarta hi nahi hai. We cannot even go ahead with this until the prices come less than 80. Do you think, what is your view on that? Imports have still not picked up of PVC till now to India, right?
Yeah, so I think Nidhi, imports are definitely still challenging. And like you would be well aware that India is heavily dependent on imports. 50% of our consumption is dependent on domestic and 50% import. I don't think that PVC is going to again go back to the levels that it previously was. I think there is definitely going to be a new normal. It's obviously very tough to predict. After the past few years, I've stopped predicting where PVC is going to go, actually, to be very honest. So yeah, I think only time will tell. But I think it's going to be range bound this year. That's our best estimate, at least at this point of time.
Ragji, what is your view on this? It's a very important point, the PVC prices.
As I think Nihar tried to explain, these prices, they were quite volatile, what we've seen in the last, financial year. And this supply chain, disruption is going to, I see that it's going to continue for a while. And so it is going to be very difficult to, predict on the long-term basis. On the short term, I think we have already seen a rock bottom, and it's going to further increase from here on. And this I'm saying only on the short term, times. In the long term, I think the time has to prove, what is it going to be. So
I totally agree
let's
with
hope
you.
for the best. Yeah.
Yes. Nihar, there's so many good applications that the market is lapping up of PVC. The doors and windows, the shoe bottoms, jo chappals hai, they are absolutely taking the market by range. Also, few of the HDPE applications in pipes, they are getting replaced to PVC. So what are the other applications like foam core, pipe welded, pipe oriented pipe, silenced pipe, like you mentioned, that you think are going to kind of increase the pie of PVC in India?
Yeah, definitely. I think you've answered the question for me. Actually, there are so many different applications across plumbing, industrial, drainage, underground drainage as well. So I think we're definitely studying these products closely.
Paragji, do you remember Vinyl 2015 when our dear Jayanti Bhai Chheda was given the Lifetime Achievement Award in Vinyl India 2015? What beautiful memories, I think. They are a lifetime memory that we've created. What is the one principle, the cultural value, the neev, jisko bolte hain, that you have learned from your dear father as a heritage and a legacy, which you would also pass it on to Nihar and then his children, the fourth generation?
So a very interesting question, Nidhi. If you're talking about, one principle, I would just say, to, work together to achieve more. So my father has always believed in, giving enough opportunity to all the generations, be it me, be it my younger brother Vipul, or be it also my son Nihar, to work together and meaningfully contribute in each and every aspect of be it business or also in life. He's always ensured a perfect blend of professionals and promoters working together in harmony to make Prince Pipes a growth ready organization. So to say, it's always been first. That has been his way of life, and we are strongly carrying this mantra.
Jayanti bhai, we are really missing you, पर मैं आपसे अलग से one-to-one session कर लूंगी. That I will definitely get. Thanks for sharing that, Parag ji. And if I would say, what is the one similarity that you think you have with Nihar? One thing that मुझे लगता है, how it is when my father used to drive the car, I remember, he used to kind of, kneel a little bit on the steering. And without even, knowing it, we've seen that all his three children do that the same. वो automatic genes में आ जाता है. तो आपको क्या लगता है एक निहार में क्या वो quality है जो आपसे he's taken up?
So I think Nihar is a reflection. A lot of things I see what is within me and my father. I see a lot of similarities. But if I have to say, the striking similarity amongst the both of us is that we both are workaholics. So I'm being very honest here, and this is, I think, one of the very striking similarity between the two of us.
And what is the one difference जो आपको बिल्कुल अलग लगता है कि निहार, you are my son, ये क्या हुआ?
So I'm sure, every individual personality, they would have their own traits. So for me, what I see is that the difference is basically in the approach towards the business. So he is, very intuitive, at times impulsive. I'm more maybe data driven. I'm more system driven, and I think this combination or the synergy of these two is actually working the best.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful balance between your generation and Nihar's generation.
Absolutely.
So Nihar, your one chance. What is the one thing you don't agree with your dad at all? Strikingly 180 degrees. वो क्या होता है? One for work and one for personal. And don't give me a diplomatic answer. Huh?
I feel like this is a trap question, and I'm going to fall in trouble now.
Be careful. This is actually a interaction which is going to be viral. So please be careful.
ये देखो सर, आपने फिर से उसको डरा दिया.
Catching such things.
No, not at all. But Nihar, be very, very honest.
I think it's our approach to business. Like he said, he is very data driven, very system driven. Everything has to happen by the clock, by the minute, which is something that I can only aspire to learn from him and become in that sort. And I'm much more sort of impulsive. If something comes and it's, I need to do it, then I'll forget about everything else and then just get on to that. So I think, we both need to learn from each other and find that
Wonderful.
balance.
Yes, I agree with. I've worked with Paragji on My Vinyl Indias, and he's very systematic. He is so, by the rule, lovely to work with him. We also learn a lot from him. I totally agree with you there. Paragji, what is your biggest learning from this pandemic for business and personal? Everyone has taken, कि अब हम ऐसा करने वाले हैं. आपके लिए वो क्या है? And Nihar, same question for you after him.
Yeah, Nidhi, I think, I'll answer that maybe, two different aspects. If I talk about business, so things are, pretty uncertain right now. Things have been very uncertain in the past 12 months. And so this uncertainty actually has given an opportunity for, innovative thinking. We safely continued our operations and contributed well in the overall economy in this crisis time. So absolutely no layoffs and ensured, the best customer service. That is in terms of business. In terms of, personal life, I think it has helped me realize the importance of family time and also me time. This one thing, me time, is Nihar has actually taught me, that one needs to be at times a little bit selfish and spend some quality time, for oneself. So that's the learning which this pandemic has given.
I totally resonate with you there. Matlab, in the last, I think, 12 years when I, found Elite Plus and was running it, wo me time kya hota hai, I didn't even realize that. But with this time, you've also kind of looking inwards. Nihar, what are the two learnings for you?
Yeah, I think it's, the pandemic has taught all of us so many things. But if I have to pick one specific thing that I think I've learned, both, this applies to both professional and personal life, is one has to stay optimistic. If we've been able to go through this sort of uncertainty, this sort of, loss to human life, one has to just stay optimistic and one has to remain composed. I think also as a big part of being a businessman and industrialist is the ability to manage uncertainty and stay composed when you're in the center of the storm. You have to remain optimistic and you have to remain composed. So I think that is the biggest learning that one needs to apply to business as a whole.
Perfect. I think, and coming from you, Nihar, you are the younger Turk. It really means a lot. So, Paragji, Nihar, we have to close here. Unfortunately, I would love for the session to go forward. Paragji, thank you for the very in-depth interview and, curiosity-fueled exclusion. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the session. And Nihar, for sharing your thoughts and outlook. We will be connected with you for the coming times for a very promising journey that Nihar is going to take forward. Thank you, the both of you. We shall see you soon in the 10th Vinyl India, whenever it is announced. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nidhi. Once again, thank you for having us, and please stay healthy and stay safe.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nidhi.
Thank you. Bye.